Welcome back to Almost Live here at Streaming Media West 2016 in Huntington Beach. Today I have with me Omar Louzadi. Did I say that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what's your title at Yahoo?
I'm heading the video platform, including CDN, new protocol, CMS.
Okay, so let's talk about some trends. You and I were talking before we did this recording about social media with live video content. Last year at this show, you all talked about the streams you'd done for the NFL. Of course, Twitter picked those up. We've got Facebook Live, we've got Snap doing some things. Where do you see that going?
We see much more live than VOD.
Right.
We start to see UGC live and how the big media companies start to embrace that solution and to use it. And that is fascinating. Mm-hmm. In terms of the UGC part of it, namely Facebook trying to go to the individuals and just show yourself when you are playing to yourself and when you're playing to your family, or that seems not to be that successful at the moment in terms of how many viewers are watching and so on and so forth. On the other hand, the adoption of the big media, the news, the politics, sports, and so on, that seems to be much more evolved and evolving really, really fast.
And it almost seems like the mainstream media, the traditional media, is either solidifying the base for Facebook or to a certain extent giving them a credibility that they may not have had on their own, because it seems like they're frequently in news broadcasts now, such and such is on Facebook Live, here's a clip of what was shown. Is that just because of the power of the brand of Facebook, or is that because of the way that Facebook's doing the technological part?
It's a great question. It's a brand.
Okay.
The technology was there even in the past. You can think of Periscope, Meerkat, YouNow, all these smaller companies. But until Facebook actually came and put the live on Facebook out there, that wasn't very successful. Most of these smaller companies become like a niche companies trying to find their place now. If it's more kind of, I wouldn't say, if it's more like personal type of UGC things, if some of them try to go after sports or minor leagues.
Sort of niche markets for sports and that type of thing.
And Twitter, to some degree, take a different approach, combining their obviously very strong live platform, not for video, but live for text, and to bring for the biggest event like the NFL. That's the reason they were ready to pay the amount asked by the NFL in order to bring that.
So you say not for, primarily for live, not for on demand, but of course we had Vine, which they've just done away with, which was essentially, small snippets. Do you think that the decision to do away with that was because it didn't fit into the extended live model of 30-minute live events, 90-minute live events?
Seems to me that, and that brings another beast to the table, which is Snapchat. They kind of took this more VOD, small UGC out there. And the way that Snapchat sees themselves is obviously as the future media company of these type of clips.
Of those short clips.
And I wonder what they will do with live. Because are they going to compete with Facebook on live UGC and so on? That's probably they will try something, but I have no.
So let's step back from the specific companies and let me ask a trend question. So if you think back, I was a professor, so I had Facebook long before most people my age did, and of course, at that point it was essentially posting some still images and a whole lot of text. Then the ability to post video came along, and now we have the ability to do live video. Do we see that as a trend that the younger social media companies, Twitter, Snap, others like that, have to sort of work their way up to being able to do live, or do you suspect we'll have new entrants to the market that will start with live video?
I think it's very much tied to social today. And I think that if I need to bet on someone, it probably would be something like Snapchat,
Okay, sure.
with the question of how they will take this type of, because on the VOD world, what they're doing is kind of a new way to consume the media.
Right.
You click, you move channels real fast.
Right.
Is that going to work with live?
Yeah.
How is that going to work in live? Would you need a little more kind of engagement in between the viewer and the content? That is a big unknown.
And then I think the second question is, how do we scale live? Because one of the benefits Facebook has is they essentially can keep it all within their domain. When you're trying, if they suddenly start, like Yahoo did back in the day, curating live video from multiple locations, the limitation there is it can only scale to the weakest link in the entire chain.
Okay, so scaling is a completely different topic, and it very much depends on what type of video streaming you're doing.
Sure.
When you're talking, for example, if we talk about Facebook or Yahoo, when you talk about streaming to the millions, you have a completely different requirements on delay. You have different requirements on how you would like to propagate the data and so on. That enables you to scale better, but it affects, for example, the start time. It may affect, obviously, the delay from the the live show to the. So, as of today, you can think of it as at least two different categories of live streaming in terms of scaling. One, I have millions and millions of channels, but each one of them go to 5, 10, 12 people, versus I have 10 channels
they go
going
to millions.
to millions.
Right, okay, good.
And it's different technologies, different use of CDNs, different caching strategies.
Sure. Quality of service, caching, latencies, that type of thing. So great, Omar, appreciate you coming and talking.
Thank you.
This has been Almost Live here at Streaming Media West 2016.